Okay, good morning. My name is Ted Wright, and I'm the Executive Director of the Trust to Conserve Northeast Forest Lands. Today, we're going to be talking about preparing for a loss control visit for logging contractors. This presentation is part of a bigger series that the Trust has been working on for the Vermont Department of Forest, Parks, and Recreation. So this is going to be a webinar today on preparing for a loss control visit. Preparing for a loss control visit. So the specific goals of today are going to be what we're going to be discussing. What is a loss control visit? What is the purpose of the loss control visit? How can I prepare for the loss control visit? What will the loss control person ask? And what will they want to see? We will also be going over common issues that we have gathered from loss control professionals, common issues that they see on logging operation visits. So, what is a loss control visit? It is a scheduled visit on site at your logging job from a loss control professional. This professional is an employee of or provides services on behalf of an insurance company. A loss control visit or loss control professional is also an expert in determining risk, good or bad. These depend, the time it takes to do a loss control visit is reflected in the scale of your operation. So a smaller operation, loss control visit will probably tend to be shorter. If this is a large organization or large business, it may take a couple days. But for a typical logging crew, logging operation, I would say these visits last between 2 to 3 hours, and there'll be some follow-up regarding questions, providing more information, providing other evidence or documentation for follow-up. So, what is the purpose of a loss control visit in logging? So it's to determine risk. So the risk that the insurance company will be taking by carrying or covering your business in terms of safety. They want to determine how, what kind of business you are and how good of a risk it is. So it's important for them as they calculate different things to know what kind of a business operation you have. It's also there to help you improve your safety. So loss control professionals go onto many job sites. They have typically many years of experience in this field, and they are there to point out things that can help improve your safety and improve and better your risk in terms of your logging business. So it also provides communication with your insurance company. Good dialogue, good communication is always important for any interaction, business interaction. So this is another way that the insurance company can have interactions with you, understand your business, and you can understand what is expected from the insurance company and what they expect of you as for being covered under their policy. So how can I prepare? First thing is you want to schedule yourself plenty of time for the visit. You don't want to have it between moving trucks and a dentist appointment. You want to have some time that you can spend with the loss control professional so it's not rushed. So clear your schedule. Try not to have any other appointments that day. get plenty of time, ask ahead how much time they're going to need, and be sure to have that in the plan. You don't want to rush this. You want it to be a smooth process. So another thing is to plan ahead. Do not prepare for the loss control visit the morning of. Take a couple days, maybe a couple weeks in advance, and begin preparing for the visit. It's never a good thing to do things at the last minute, and by planning ahead a couple weeks in advance, you'll be sure you have everything in place, everything in line, and it will make the visit go as smooth as possible, and provide less follow-up after the visit. So another way to prepare is to explain the process to your crew, or to the crew. So let them understand what is going to be happening, what this person wants to see, why they are here. Basically, they're there to look at the risk of your company, and also it's all cost. So it comes down to, if you're a risky business, then it's going to cost more to be insured. So you want to make sure the crew knows that everything needs to be in place. This is a very important visit, and that they understand that. And explain to the crew what to expect. So we're going to get into a little more of the common issues that are seen, but the crew, should have their PPE. Nobody should be running, acting out, anything like that. Not that that would happen, but especially on this day, you want to have them, be courteous, be willing to show the loss control person what it is they're looking for, and also making them aware that the loss control person may stop them and ask them a few questions while they're working. So it's important for the crew to know what to expect, so they're not taken back and they're not surprised by the visit, and they're also ready to answer questions and have their all of their necessary things in order for the day. A big important part of a successful loss control visit is talking to the loss control person ahead of time about what to expect. So you're also going to do a little bit of planning with them, like we said in the last slide, of timing, location. But you can also call them and talk to them about what to expect, get a feel for what they're going to be looking for. What we have here is a pretty generic slideshow today, but other loss control professionals may have different things they'll be looking for. So it's always good to talk to them ahead of time, have a nice open conversation with them about timing, location, what they want to see. Do they want to see equipment? Do they want to see somebody fell a tree? All those things are important to make the loss control visit go smoothly and successfully. Things they may ask you. So when they get to the job site, they'll begin asking questions. They want to know more about your company. So some things they may ask: do you and your employees attend training? This is a simple answer that you can provide. What trainings you've been to. Having documentation is important. But also just discussing the way you train your employees. What kind of things do you do when a new employee starts? How do you keep people refreshed with training and up to date? And what kind of specific topics do you train on? What are important to you? So be prepared to have a recent list of your employees, the training they took, but also some of the things you may do in-house to train employees. As far as orientation, first aid, CPR, safety training, mechanical, conventional safety training, all those things, have that available and be able to discuss it freely and openly. Do you have a safety plan? A safety plan is really relative to scale and size of the business. So if you're a 100-person company, your safety plan is probably going to be much larger. and in depth than a company of 3. So it's all relative to the size of your company, but having a safety plan is important, and it will probably be asked. How you want to compile that safety plan is up to you. There's plenty of examples and templates out there on the internet to help you prepare to build a safety plan. But again, it doesn't, if you're a 2-person company versus a 100-person company, the differences are huge. So, don't feel overwhelmed that you need to have a safety plan that's 200 pages for a group of 2. You can have one that's 200 pages, but have one that works for you, because a safety plan is about organizing your safety documents and safety curriculum. So you want to have that organized. That's basically what it is, and have that available, or have it available and be able to discuss what's in your safety plan. What systems do you have in place to prevent injury? This is a good question. I think most people are doing this. Maybe some modifications that you might have done to improve your safety on your machines. Perhaps new guarding that the manufacturer did not provide that you feel is important. Maybe steps, handholds, different things that you do as a company to prevent injury. This is important. This means you're taking proactive steps to prevent injury of your employees, and that means you're a good risk. So talk about those things that you do to prevent injuries, whether they be modifications, maybe it's safety planning, maybe it's documentation, maybe it's the general attitude that your employees have, whatever it might be. Be able to talk about how you prevent injuries. Another thing is, what is your work alone policy? And we're going to discuss this in a couple slides, but a work alone policy is basically when an employee of yours is by themselves doing a high risk operation or job. So they could be the fellow buncher man or woman. Fellow buncher person could be in the field at night. They stay, the rest of the crew leaves. What is the policy for that fellow buncher operator to make his whereabouts known at the end of the day when he leaves the operation? So if he's working by himself, if anybody's working by themselves, you want to have a work alone policy. And that is as simple as having a text, a phone call, some sort of way to let that you as the supervisor and as the owner know that all of your employees are out of the woods and are out of the woods safely. So have a work alone policy. Most people do. Just be prepared to talk about it. So if it's texting, if it's phone calls, if it's email, whatever it might be, honking the horn when you drive by somebody's house. I'm not really sure what your work alone policy is, but I'm sure you have one, and be prepared to talk about it. Things they may ask to see. So equipment, the general condition. Guarding is in place, lights, etc. are working. Equipment is in good working condition and it's cared for. First aid kits. They'll probably want to look at your first aid kits. I think it's a telltale sign of whether somebody's keeping up with a safety program or safety plan, is if the first aid kits are rusted and full of pine needles and leaves and haven't had any replacement, that's going to be a red flag that you're probably not taking it seriously. When first aid kits get old and crusty and outdated and rusty and full of dirt and stuff, they're not going to work as well when you need them. So having a first aid kit is important. Having a first aid kit that is in good condition is more important. So be sure to have that first aid kit in good working condition. Basically, go through it beforehand, make sure things are in it, make sure anything that's been taken out is put back in. Lockout tagout plan. Again, this is another part of a safety plan that's relative to the size of your business. So if you have a lockout tagout plan that consists of removing the key of the equipment to putting the key in the pocket, having tags available, lockout tagout tags, whatever that may be, the important thing is that it covers the basis. It keeps people safe because the plan works, one, and two, people understand the plan. So employees understand the plan. So when you take the key out and you tag the steering wheel, if that's your lockout tagout plan, everybody understands it. That is good. You have a plan, and people understand it, and the plan works. So be sure that your employees and you are on the same page as far as your lockout tagout plan. Have tags available, be able to talk about it and comfortably, and because you'll probably be asked what your plan is. So they'll probably want to look inside the cabs and any work trailers, maybe the back of the pickup, see what kind of, if there's chemicals laying around, and the general tidiness of the cabs and the trailers. This is, again, a direct, if something is messy and things are all out of place, it's a sign that, maybe it's other things aren't in place as well. So have everything tidy, cleaned up, put away, and be ready. And this should probably take place the day before, the couple days before. Make sure all your safety gear is available. Emergency response directions next. Emergency response directions, that you want to have that written down for each job site that you go to. So if you switch job sites recently, you want to make sure it's updated. This is a way that if somebody gets hurt, they know where to go to find the emergency response directions and what to do in that emergency. So if all the emergency response directions are in the cabs of the truck or in the cab of in the first aid kit of the machines, everybody's aware of that, everybody knows that, and the emergency response lines up with the job site that you're on. So it'll have 911, it'll give directions so you can tell the 911 operator, and it may also have coordinates for a life flight. So have emergency response plan and have it available, and have your crew know where to find it. Personal protective equipment. This is, you want to have all your personal protective equipment available, and you'll want to have people using it appropriately. This isn't the time to have people come on the site and somebody not be wearing an important piece of PPE. Again, it's another sign that this may not be a good risk, and the insurance company is going to document that. So whatever the PPE requirements are, be sure you have it, be sure it's in good working order, and make sure it's available several days before, so nobody is left out and does not have a hard hat or chaps or safety glasses, because those are the important things of a well-tuned company. First aid kits. Here's an example of a first aid kit. This is a backpack version. It is quite visible, which I think is important. It includes a blanket, an emergency blanket, if somebody's in shock or if somebody has frostbite. These can be picked up in different places, but they're an emergency backpack that's basically set aside or set up for a logging company or any other occupation that's high risk outdoors occupation. So you want to have one per crew. Most of the times people have one big first aid kit, and then they may have smaller ones in the machines or smaller ones available in the pickup, because this is big, it's bulky, but it's good to have because it definitely covers the bases, and it's definitely set up for logging. You want to make sure it's updated, well stocked, and accessible. And then another key is to make sure the crew knows where they are available. So again, if the first aid kit is opened up, when the loss control person asks for it and it looks like it's been through some hard times, and about 20 years old and hasn't been replaced, then you're going to want to have that ready for that day. You're going to want to have it replaced and have a good working first aid kit for all the crew and have them be available. So if I go back, these are some common things that people, common issues that are seen on job sites. These are coming from loss control professionals that we have talked to over the last few months. So first aid kits is a big one. Good first aid kits, very important. Common issue. Have it ready, be prepared. I'm going to go through a list with pictures. So here is what, and first aid kit is first on the list. So lockout tagout plan. Have those tags available. Tags can be found online. They can be found at certain safety outlets, safety stores. Online is very simple. You can pick these tags up, maybe grab 20 of them for your crew, have them in the first aid kits. They're available and they can be part of your lockout tagout plan. So if your lockout tagout plan consists of putting on the e-brake, grounding the machine, taking the key out, operator puts the key in their pocket, and then put a tag on the steering wheel. That's one example. But having the lockout tag plan in place and having tags on hand is always a good sign that this company is prepared and this company is a good risk. Another big one that's seen by loss control professionals is CAD Clutter. I mean, this is a day, this is like we talked about in the beginning, you want to take probably a couple weeks in advance, begin preparing. CAD Clutter is a big one. This is not the type of CAD that a loss control professional will want to see that day. So clean it up. Also, secure the items that could potentially hurt people. I mean, this should be done regardless each day, but securing items such as the fire extinguisher up here in the top left, it looks like it is secured, but there's definitely other things on the floor that if you roll that machine over, it's going to hurt when it hits you in the head. Looks like there's a drill bits, a drill with the batteries that could potentially hurt if it hits you in the head and when you roll over. Because when these machines roll over, as most of you know or are aware, that the reaction is quite violent. So anything in that cab is going to be a potential projectile and could hit the operator in the head. Also, it's a tripping hazard. So when the operator gets in and out of the cab, when you have these things all over the floor like this, the grease tube, the glove, there's also the antifreeze. I can see a rag right here that's on the foot pedals, the hydraulic fluid inside the cab. These are all signs that this company may not be taking safety and general tidiness of their operation very serious. So this is a red flag in my opinion, and I think it would be to most loss control professionals. This should be the responsibility of the operators. So let them know, like we said in the beginning, when you ask your operators when you tell them what to expect, be sure to let them know that they will probably be looking in the cab, and to have everything secure that's potentially dangerous, and to have the cab cleaned up, the garbage out, and things secured properly so there's not tripping hazards, projectile hazards, and different things like that. Emergency response plan. So emergency response plan, as we talked about, is a sheet that has general directions and what to do if an emergency happens. These are great to have, but it's even more important that it's great to have everybody know and understand it. That is the key. So be sure the emergency response plan is up to date, have the correct coordinates, have the correct directions to the job site so the ambulance can make it there. This is very important when there's a serious emergency, that the EMS or emergency service system people arrive on site at the right site and in a quick manner. This is when time is of the essence. So having a plan that is fresh, that is the right location, and having everybody understand where it is located is very important during a loss control visit and any time that you will be logging and running your logging business. So be sure to have this available, up to date, and the crew knows where it is. PPE. This is the day during a loss control visit, you want to go through your PPE. This is the day that you want to have it available. So safety glasses, if you're going to be around torches, cutting, what have you, you're going to want to have safety glasses available. You're going to want to have a shield if that's required for whatever job you're doing. You're going to want to have hard hats. Safety vet or high vis vest is also a very good option. And you're going to want to have gloves, work boots. You're not going to want to have somebody show up in sneakers and shorts. Okay, so have boots, have pants. Everybody's professionally dressed, and having all the personal protective equipment available and having being worn and be in good condition is very important on your loss control visit. So go through that a couple days in advance. Again, make sure the crew knows. You don't want to have somebody jump out with no hard hat on the day of the loss control visit. Again, to a loss control person, this looks like a bad risk. What is your work alone policy? We talked a little bit about this in the beginning. If somebody is working alone, how does the company or the supervisor or foreman or owner know that that person working alone makes it out of the woods each night or morning or however you're running your shifts? How is that person, how are they known to be safe and out of the woods? This is very important. This can be done through text. This can be done through a phone, but it must be, people must be aware of it, and people must know how to follow the work alone policy. There's different ways that this can be done, again, depending on the size of your company, but a text, a phone call, this is what we do every night. That is your work alone policy. When that operator leaves, you get a text. That is what you want to tell the loss control professional. This is a big one. Some people get asked, what's your work alone policy? I don't know, but it's very simple because you're probably doing it already because you want to know and you care about your employees. You want them to be out of the woods. So let the loss control professional know how you do this. Down at the bottom, there's a picture of a FedEx truck. This is very recent in Rangeley, Maine. The FedEx truck was out on deliveries one evening. They went down the wrong road. They backed into the ditch and they slept there all night. And it wasn't until the next morning that they realized the person's car was still at the FedEx facility. They'd never returned home, and the person was sleeping or sitting in the van the next morning, or the FedEx van, because there was no work alone policy in place. So if they're injured or whatnot, this would be a lot more serious issue. But this is a case where a work alone policy would have helped this person not have to stay in a FedEx truck on the side of a logging road in Rangeley. I don't think it was a good experience, I'm sure, but it was in the news and I thought it was relevant to today's conversation. So again, this person, if they didn't show up at 9 o'clock, because that's when their shift is done, and if they didn't send a text by 9 o'clock or a phone call by 9 o'clock, then something obviously was wrong. This was not in place. 9 o'clock went by. The person stayed there all night. There was never a policy in place. So have that policy, make it known, and have your employees follow it. Are your radios and cell phones working? This may be a question they ask. Can I see the radio? Can you communicate to the skidder operator, and you're going to want to go through and communicate and have this work smoothly. If the radio's not working, if their radio isn't turned on, or the phone's out of batteries, or the cord is broken, again, these are all signs of poor or bad risk that are going to be noted in a loss control professional's visit. So be sure your phones, radios, all your communication devices are working, they have batteries. If they're not working, replace what needs to be replaced. Communication is key for safety. When they look in the cab, they may also ask, are the seat belts and other safety features working? Lights, backup alarms, emergency brakes, anything that makes a machine safer. They're going to want to know, is it operating, and do you use it? So seat belts that are cut up and ripped up, you're going to want to have those replaced. And you're going to want to have the seat belt in a place where it's being used. A seat belt is no good if it's not being used. So be sure the operators know this, that they have their seat belt on at all times, unless they're getting out of the machine, obviously. But be sure they have their seat belts on and they're in good working order. Make sure the lights work, backup alarms, emergency brakes, anything like that. Be sure it's up and going and that people know how to use it and they are using it on this day. 3 points of contact. We all know about this. We don't want to see people, the loss control person is not going to want to see somebody jump off the side of a machine from 5 feet up. They're going to want to see 3 points of contact. So be sure your employees know this going in, that 3 points of contact is going to be of the utmost importance on your loss control visit day. So have everybody slow down, take their time. When they pull up to the loss control professional, if they meet them out in the woods, they pull up slowly in the machine, they take their seatbelt off, they ground the machine, put the blades down, and get out of the machine with 3 points of contact. This is a great exercise for showing good risk, and it's a good practice to do each and every day. But if somebody forgets, they jump off the side of the machine, the loss control person sees this, it's going to be noted in the report, I'm sure. So make sure all the employees are aware of the 3 points of contact. Safety hatches. They may be looking at safety hatches. This is a common issue when talking to loss control people. They'll ask the operation to open the safety hatch. Sometimes the safety hatch may not have been open for years and it's rusted shut, and so it doesn't open. So it's not a safety feature at this point. Make sure they work properly. Do this a week in advance, few weeks in advance, in case you need to order new screws or new buttons or whatever. But make sure those safety hatches work and they can be opened, because they may ask this, because this is a common issue on logging sites. Also, you want to have the machine in a good place to get in and out. So when the operator pulls up, as with any time, you don't want to be pulling out onto ice, brush, log ends, anything that can be deemed unsafe. So have a good means of egress, good means of getting out of the machine in a nice, safe, level spot. So safety hatches working, level spots for dismounting the machine are all important, and make sure the safety hatches work properly. So unscrew them before and screw them back in. Make sure the operator knows how to use them, because this will probably be something that will be asked to see. So in closing, we want 3 things for you to remember. Be prepared. A couple of weeks in advance, be prepared for this thing. Go through your safety hatches. Go through your first aid kits. Give yourself time to order or reorder something that's missing, and be sure it's in good order, and is in a place that everybody knows about. So preparing the first aid kits is important. They're good to go. They look nice. Also, people are prepared to say, yes, the first aid kits are located in the truck, or the big first aid kit is located in the work trailer. Be prepared in those sorts of things. Give yourself plenty of time. Be prepared and be ready to discuss your business. So this is a person that's coming in to look at your business and determine risk. So you're going to want to be able to discuss your business openly. So feel comfortable, feel open discussing it with this person. They're a professional in loss control. You're a professional in logging. Talk to them about your logging business. Talk about the highlights. Talk about how you view safety. So be ready to discuss your business. Don't be afraid. Talk about all the good things that you do. And number 3, be honest. Be honest. If you can, if you forgot something that day, just be honest. Don't try to, make up a story that things, whatever happened is somehow just a strange occurrence. Just be honest and say, we forgot that. We always have that on site, and we'll get one tomorrow and perhaps take a picture of it or send you the evidence that we have the first aid kit in good working order. So again, be honest. This is about communication, good, honest communication between the logging business and the insurance and the loss control professional. So be prepared to talk about your business, and be honest. And there's also a list for your job site standard evaluation. So this is coming from the Vermont Logger Safety and Workers' Compensation Program. This is available. Make sure you get it before the loss control visit. I will not go through this word for word, but you can see company information. It's going to ask for your safety meetings. These are some of the things they're going to ask for. So I hope this was a helpful webinar on getting you ready for a loss control visit. And I hope it helped you understand a little bit more about why loss control visits are important. And be safe out there, and have a great day.